The drama surrounding Shedeur Sanders has taken the NFL world by storm, and it all started with a moment that wasn't loud, brash, or fueled by trash talk, but by silence. Imagine the scene. Cleveland's newest quarterback walks into the press conference room in that sharp Browns jacket, cameras flashing, reporters buzzing, all waiting for their next viral quote. But what they get instead is nothing. No words, no sound bites, just Shedeur's calm, unreadable face as he mouths his answers in total silence. The room goes dead quiet. Was it a joke? A protest? Or something far more deliberate? Within minutes, the clips hit social media, and by the hour, the NFL commissioner himself was reportedly watching the footage. Cleveland's third-string quarterback had just ignited one of the biggest controversies of the season without uttering a single word. It wasn't supposed to be like this. The Browns' quarterback situation was already tense, Joe Flacco fighting against time, Dillon Gabriel trying to prove he could lead an NFL offense, and Shedeur Sanders, the son of football royalty, fighting to climb out of the QB3 shadow. But that day, Shedeur changed everything. Instead of answering questions about his chemistry with the offense or his development behind the veterans, he stood still, lips moving, eyes sharp, and not a sound came through. At first, reporters assumed the mic was broken. Then came a second question. Same silence, a third. Still nothing. By then, everyone knew what was happening. This was a statement. A calculated act of rebellion from a young player tired of being twisted by headlines and sound bites. To Shedeur, it made perfect sense. He's lived under scrutiny his entire life. Every word he's ever said gets dissected. Every interview turned into a headline. Every quote used to craft a narrative he can't control. Being Deion Sanders' son means the spotlight follows him everywhere, but it also means the critics come louder, hungrier, and quicker. By refusing to speak, he took away their weapons. If they couldn't twist his words, they couldn't control his story. It was his version of taking back power. But to the commissioner's office, that power move looked like a problem. By the next morning, every sports network had the clip running nonstop. ESPN called it the strangest NFL presser in years. Stephen A. Smith erupted on live television saying, "You can't come into this league and act like that. That's not leadership, that's arrogance." Pat McAfee, on the other hand, called it the most college move of all time, but admitted he respected Shedeur's guts for refusing to play the media's game. The NFL wasn't used to rookies dictating the terms of the conversation, and Shedeur just shattered that pattern in broad daylight. Inside the Browns facility, chaos spread fast. Kevin Stefanski was caught between two fires, trying to prepare for the season while putting out a media inferno. Andrew Berry, the general manager, was fielding calls from league officials demanding explanations. Rumors spread that the commissioner himself reached out to Browns ownership, furious that a rookie had turned a press conference into what one insider allegedly called a circus. There was even talk of fines. Cleveland had a quarterback controversy before, but this was different. This wasn't about who would start. It was about who was in control. And yet, while the outside world boiled, Shedeur remained calm. At practice the next morning, he walked onto the field with headphones on, head high, completely unfazed. The noise around him didn't seem to touch him, but that composure only made things worse. Some veterans saw it as arrogance. Others quietly admired it. A few of the younger players, though, began to rally around him, whispering that he was being authentic in a world that punished authenticity. They saw him as someone willing to push back against the machine. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco kept to himself, his patience reportedly wearing thin with all the distractions. Dillon Gabriel's camp stayed silent too, perhaps sensing an opportunity in all the chaos. And behind closed doors, coaches began adjusting the reps. Gabriel got more first-team snaps, Flacco got more veteran attention, and Shedeur, well, his time started shrinking. To outsiders, it looked like punishment, a quiet reminder that defiance has consequences. But even with limited opportunities, reports say he made the most of them. During one 2-minute drill, he threw a perfect strike between two defenders, the kind of throw that makes even critics pause. Teammates clapped him on the shoulder afterward, a silent show of support in the middle of the storm. But the story didn't stop there. Once the clip hit every platform, it turned into something bigger than football. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Fans split in two. Some defended him, saying the media had it coming after years of painting him as cocky. Others called him immature, accusing him of embarrassing the franchise. Rival fan bases joined in, mocking him with nicknames like Silent Sanders, turning the controversy into an internet circus. In the NFL, distractions are poison. They seep into the locker room, twist relationships, and fracture trust. And that's exactly what was happening in Cleveland. Players began whispering about favoritism, about whether the front office secretly wanted Gabriel to start because he was more coachable. Some defended Shedeur, calling his silence leadership in disguise. Others thought he was digging his own grave. The Browns thought they were managing a depth chart. What they were really managing was a cultural war. Inside and outside the locker room, opinions hardened. The fan base split. Sports talk radio burned with debate. Some fans saw Shedeur's act as a stand against manipulation, a fight for control in a league that doesn't like rebels. Others saw it as pure arrogance from a rookie who hadn't earned the right to challenge authority. Even ownership couldn't escape the fallout. Reports surfaced that Jimmy Haslam wasn't happy about the franchise once again becoming a national headline for the wrong reasons. The commissioner's office allegedly sent a quiet warning: control your players, or the league will step in. For a team that's fought so long for stability, this was the last thing they needed. The Browns had just turned a quarterback competition into a full-blown identity crisis. And at the center of it all stood Shedeur Sanders, calm, silent, and unbothered, the eye of a hurricane he created himself. As the dust settled, one truth became clear. This wasn't just about football anymore. It was about image, power, and the price of individuality in a corporate machine. Shedeur's silence became a symbol of defiance to some, of disrespect to others. But everyone was talking about him, and in a league where headlines equal influence, that meant he'd already won part of the battle. Still, Cleveland's locker room was cracking. Stefanski was running out of patience. The media wasn't backing off, and the commissioner, reportedly still furious. The Browns weren't just preparing for the next game. They were fighting to hold their franchise together. Because once a quarterback controversy becomes cultural, it doesn't just fade away. It festers. It divides. It poisons. So now the question lingers. Was Shedeur protecting himself from a twisted media machine that's been waiting for him to fail? Or was he fueling chaos in Cleveland at the worst possible time? Either way, one thing is undeniable: this was no accident. It was a warning shot. A rookie quarterback looked the league in the eye and dared it to flinch first. And for better or worse, the NFL will never forget the day Shedeur Sanders refused to speak. If you were in his shoes, would you have done the same? Was his silence an act of rebellion or of survival? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're following this unfolding NFL drama, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is far from over.